Hello and welcome back to Entrepreneur Talks podcast, Season 3. I'm so excited. I'm about to introduce my new guest for this week. Feel free to get in touch with my guest because all the information about it will be on the description of each episode. You will find the website, social media, contact number, email, everything that my guest will provide, even a promo, something that you can get as a freebie because you've been listening, because you've been here with us. And don't forget, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube by Women Flix. You will find all this information and much more. Get connected with us. Find more about what we do. And feel free to get in touch. My name is Yola Bastos, and I'm here with my guest that I'm about to introduce. So, sit down, relax, and enjoy. My guest for today's podcast is Romanella. Rocky worked with UPS for more than 40 years, where he was focused on supply chain, logistics, transportation, retail, sales, and much more. But he decided to retire and jumped to UniTek Global Services as Chief Executive Officer and Board Director. And then he retired again from this company and he created 360 Management Services, his own company. So let's welcome Rocky Romanella and listen his story and feel inspired. Hello, Rocky. Good afternoon and welcome to my podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Well, Yola, it's my pleasure and honor to be here, and I look forward to our conversation.
Amazing. Me too. So let's start this conversation. I believe it's going to be very powerful. So tell me a bit of your background, where you're coming from. What is your story?
Well, thanks for asking. And so I'll try to do it as quick as we can so we leave some time for the conversation. But so over a 40-year business career, I started out part-time unloading trailers for UPS and working my way through college. And interestingly enough, I was going to school to be a high school history teacher and a baseball coach. And what I realized in those early days, as I was watching other people lead and manage, is that the best leaders and best managers were people who could get their people to connect the dots, people who could get their people to have the vision of what we were trying to accomplish. And so I never gave up my teaching passion or my coaching passion. I just chose a different classroom, which was the business setting. And so I never felt like I ever gave up that teaching passion or coaching passion. And so I worked my way up. UPS had a promotion from within policy. And my dad told me two things when I started that job. He said, hey, look, whatever they ask you to do, say yes and thank you. And then learn your job and learn some more. So as I was growing and developing and taking advantage of this promotion from within policy, as they were tapping me on the shoulder saying, hey, we've got this opportunity here, we've got this opportunity there, I may not have always felt ready, or maybe I didn't have the confidence at that moment, or maybe I didn't believe I had the expertise. But one of the things that I really learned that was powerful, and I think we could talk more about through our conversation, is that I learned that leaders believe in their people many times until they're ready to believe in themselves. And so at that moment, UPS believed in me before I maybe believed in myself. And I think as a leader, you believe in your people until they're ready to believe in themselves. and then you kind of bridge that gap of confidence or knowledge, and then you get to that break-even point like a business does when they first start. And then after that, you really just start to fly. And as a leader, maybe I give you that confidence and and that skill in the early days, but then I have to step back and let you fly. I don't need to overmanage you when you're really starting to understand it and feel good about yourself. And so those were powerful lessons I learned early on from a kind of career perspective. I was very involved in the integration of acquisitions by UPS. So for example, we purchased mailboxes, et cetera, and rebranded to the UPS store. I had that as a direct report, and then took UPS through the mailbox, et cetera, through the rebranding to the UPS store. A wonderful network, great entrepreneurs. And that's where I really started to get, kind of that influence from that entrepreneurial spirit. I got a chance to see all these small business owners who were excellent people, so impressive. And I gained such great, respect and understanding of being an entrepreneur, but I still wasn't an entrepreneur. And so I would be like, wow, I don't know how these people do it. Yeah, I don't know how they do it. Oh man, they're fantastic. And then we built UPS Supply Chain Solutions. We had over 20 acquisitions, put them together and built UPS Supply Chain Solutions. And I ran this side of the world, the US, Latin America, South America, Mexico, Canada for UPS and supply chain.
Rocky.
Retired yes, go ahead.
Just before you carry on, I'm sorry. Just clarify to me, what is UPS?
So UPS is United Parcel Service. It's a package delivery company. In Europe, it would be, it's FedEx, UPS in the US side. Of course, internationally, it's DHL.
Yes, I was wondering that was the meaning of UPS, but I want to make sure. So even for my listeners, because depends where we are in the world, UPS tend to change some names or some initials. So okay, got it. So,
and then I retired from UPS, and then was recruited to be a CEO of a telecom company. We built cell towers, upgraded cell towers, did installation of cable types of products, and then we sold that company, and I started my own business, 360 Management Services, which is what I'm currently doing. And 360 has three legs of our stool: keynote speaking, which I do the keynote speaking, we do leadership training, and then we do consulting. Today we have 3 active consulting engagements with process improvement and M&A kinds of things. So that's a little bit about me. Sorry, it took a little bit long. I guess it just means I'm old, right?
It has to be. That's your story. That's why it has to be the length that you just had, like you had your moment. Amazing.
Yeah. That's nice. Well, that's a nice way of putting it. I guess depending on who you are, you can call moments different things, right?
Yes, true. But that's amazing story. So powerful, from UPS to UGS, because I just realized, like, you were working on UPS and then you moved to UGS. And now you are on 360 management. Sir.
Yeah, we were UniTek, UniTek. So that was So I was hanging out with the letter U for a while, right?
Yeah, fantastic. Oh wow! And when did you So the UniTek, you're not working?
No, we had a sale there. We sold the company.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. So how long it's been going on, this 360 management services?
So we've been doing it about 3.5 years. We're in year 4 right now. Keynote speaking and the leadership training are really two, kind of back to my core of when I first went to college to be a history teacher and a baseball coach, right? The coaching and the teaching. I really get a great opportunity to do that in the keynote speaking side and the leadership training side. But I will say the process improvement and the ability to help small businesses, we work predominantly with small businesses, the ability to help small businesses grow, develop, and really start to become profitable is really exciting. And entrepreneurs are such great people to work with.
So basically the 360, as far as understood, is about management, leadership, empower people, coaching. Correct?
Yes, that would be a very good way of summarizing it. Thank you.
That's good. Powerful. And which kind of people, clients, do you work with? Companies or individuals or women, men?
So it's all of it, because in many cases on the process improvement side and consulting side, it's many small businesses. On the leadership training, it's individuals. We do coaching. We have coaching individuals that we work with, CEOs or leaders inside companies that maybe their responsibilities are changing, maybe they're taking on additional responsibilities. So we do a lot of coaching and mentoring individuals. And then we also have training workshops that we've built and then we build for customers. So they may call us and say, hey, we'd like to build a workshop around this topic: values, ethics, potentially new supervisor orientation, things like that. And then of course the keynote speaking depends on the client and their conference that they're having.
This is really good because I do run a company. I'm one of the founders of a company that we also do workshops with clients, and that's a great idea because I never thought about I never thought, and I never had clients calling and asking, I would like to run a workshop on this topic, because we do have specific topics on our workshops. But that's really good, Rocky. Thank you. Just open my eyes to something.
There you go. Look at that. We're helping each other. See that? Working together works.
Yeah, so powerful. Because then you need to build, takes time, right? Of course. And then present to the company, correct?
Well, and the other thing, what's nice is as you're working with that company and you're building them a more specific type of workshop, you're also getting to know their culture. You're starting to know, you got their values, their mission statements, and you start to put that in. So it's not a canned presentation or one that, you've done numerous times for, numerous different companies. You tailor it more to that company. And so you start to talk about how the topics you're talking about in your workshop, how they support the values and the mission statement of the company you're working with. So I think it makes it much more personable that way. You personalize it.
Definitely, yes. And then in the future, we always can use and change some stuff. Depends on. That's really good. Thank you. That's a really good idea. And do you work, as you mentioned, you do this coaching and mentoring, you do online and also on real life, like in companies?
Yes. Yeah, so we do a lot. It's probably 80-20. 80% is actually going to an organization or going to a keynote. But lately, as the world is going through these difficult times and so much more is virtual, I'm doing much more virtually. So, for example, tomorrow I have a conversation with an organization that they purchased my book, Tighten the Lug Nuts, and then tomorrow I'll call and we'll do an hour lunch and learn where they have they have 20 of their senior executives calling in on a Skype call, and we'll have a conversation. I do it on Zoom now, so I'm really doing much more of the virtual things like that. And then, in fact, I have 2 conferences set up now for virtual keynotes where they've got all their members and attendees dialing in, and I'm going to do a virtual keynote speech for them. So I've got 2 signed up for that right now.
Oh, marvelous. But one thing that you just mentioned now, but I didn't know, and you wrote a book.
Yes, my book is called, the name of the book is Tighten the Lug Nuts, and it's sort of a book on it's about leadership, and I believe we're all leaders at one time or another. I think, unfortunately, what happens is people think leadership is a title, I'm a CEO or I'm the manager. But we're all leaders at one time or another, because leadership's about the ability to influence and the ability to make things a little better than you found them. And so because of that, we're all leaders. Yesterday was Mother's Day, for example, and great, who's been, some of the greatest leaders in the world are moms. Teachers are some of the greatest leaders in the world, because they leave things a little better than they found them. And because of that, so I talk a lot about this concept of leadership and leaving your legacy through your leadership. And so the book is really for everyone, but I would, it's clear that it's a business book, but it's my 40-year, it's my 40-year career. A lot of stories in the book, and each chapter, although it all connects as a story, each chapter can stand on its own, so that if, it becomes almost a workbook for businesses, so that you can take, individuals on different topics and maybe work with people inside your organization about a specific topic, but the book all supports itself through a story.
Oh, great. And I believe that you send me all the information about your book as well, correct?
Yes, it's fulfilled on Amazon. It's barnesandnoble.com, but it's on Kindle. It's on hard copy as well as a paperback copy. But Kindle sales have been tremendous. I mean, it's really been very flattering, and it's a very humbling experience to see that many books being sold.
on Kindle.
Kindle and Amazon fulfills paperback and as well as hardcover.
That's wonderful. So I will make sure all this information will be on the description of your podcast when it's going live, so my listeners can get access to your book. So your book is called Tighten the Lug Nuts, something like that.
Tighten the Lug Nuts, yes.
Such a tie. For me, it tends to be very difficult to say all these TTT words.
Well, you did great though. You did great on it, and there's a great story in the book on how I got the title of the book. So I'll let the readers or listeners. I won't spoil it for them. Spoiler alert! But it's a great story inside the book, and so each chapter has a lesson, but each lesson has a story. And I get a lot of emails from people who say, "Oh, I love that story," or and the goal was to entertain, but also educate. So there's a lot of great education, but you'll have fun. You'll smile with the stories.
Great. So I'm looking for it. I'm going to have a look. And another question that I have for you before we finish is, I know you are based not in the same country like me, because you just mentioned Mother's Day, and was yesterday I was receiving message about Mother's Day. I'm a mother as well, and I was
happy Mother's Day. Hope you had a great day yesterday.
You're Rocky. But when I received the message and I saw on social media, etc., I realized it was Mother's Day in America. But I'm in London. I'm in UK, and our Mother's Day was 22nd of March, and I was
I missed it. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, but the weird thing was, like, I called my daughter and I said, did you said to me my happy Mother's Day, because it's so many dates for Mother's Day that I got lost. Yesterday I realized, like, I wasn't sure if I did celebrate my Mother's Day. So because the weekend before was Mother's Day in Portugal, where I'm coming from. So so every Sunday was Mother's Day, and I'm like, did I celebrate Mother's Day UK or not? I don't know. The reason I was bringing that is to ask you, which countries do you work most?
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, I obviously the U.S., but I do quite a bit in Canada, and during my tenure at UPS, I had responsibilities in Europe and South America, Latin America. So I got the opportunity to spend time in those countries. And I would say it's Canada, Europe, America first, and Canada, Europe. Interestingly enough, I have done quite a few podcasts from Australia as well, and did have a keynote scheduled in Australia. So it's amazing how the world has become so much smaller through the internet.
Yeah.
But one thing that you just mentioned that I would agree 1,000% with is that it just shows you, with the different dates for Mother's Day, every day is Mother's Day.
Yes.
That's all that means. Every day is Mother's Day. So don't ever lose sight of how important your mom is to you.
It is. Thank you. It is. For me, it is. I'm always.
Let me tell you what, that is the toughest job, and it's funny, when I wrote my book, a large part of my, growing up and the values and ethics and the things I taught growing up, my dad had such a huge influence on me. But in my adult life, no one has more influence on me and has done more to help shape me and help me through my career than my wife, Debbie. And some of the greatest lessons that I kind of use in business today, or lessons or things that I've learned from her. So I think that, I think sometimes we try to find that powerful book or that influential person, but many times those most powerful people and influential people in your lives are those people right around you who are family members, good friends, or people that you may have worked with. And those people are the people who give you those simple acts of kindness. They take the time to work with you or talk to you. Yes. They care about you so much that they're willing to follow up on things with you. So, your mom, your dad, your family, your good friends. I mean, some of the greatest influencers are those people right in front of us that we sometimes miss. But you think back as you get older, and you think to yourself, wow, that was a really influential person. I'm so much more like them than I thought I would be. And, I think now in life, as we're going through, this whole pandemic, I think every now and then it's nice to maybe take a moment and email or text that person, or maybe if they've passed, take a moment in the solitude and quiet of your own heart to thank them and say, hey, you know what? You're a bigger influence than I thought. And that nice little email you get from someone that says, hey, hope you're well, and hey, you know what, just thanks for all you did for me during my career, or thanks for all you did for me as, kind of growing up or whatever.
Totally, because all these people that made what they gave us love to us. They made us who we are today, and that's so powerful to remember that in our lives and to their lives as well. I actually, Rocky, you just mentioned now about the writing an email or text. I went further. I wrote letters, which is
wow. That's
and
great.
and I love it. I love each time I sat down and I wrote for that specific person and sending love. It's really powerful, and I'm so grateful because they've been someone in my life that made me, gave me the opportunity to actually help me to create what I'm creating right now. And this is always to be grateful forever.
Oh, I agree. And if you think about, as we're going through these difficulties, with the pandemic and with all these things that are going on, I mean, look, it's sadness, and we keep everyone in our thoughts and prayers.
Yeah.
But it is an opportunity to do what you just suggested. Hey, write that letter to someone. Take that moment while you're sheltering in place or in your home to have that conversation. And it's funny. I talk about this concept of leadership and how we're all leaders at one time or another, and what's your legacy, And I always, at a conference, I'll ask the group there, who's that, do you know who your local politician is? Or do you know who's in charge of your school district or whatever? And most people can't answer that question. But if I ask the group, who's that teacher that made a difference in your life? Everybody stops, tilts their head, and they can think of a teacher who made a difference in their life, right? So think about how powerful that is. And that's why I say that sometimes we think that leadership and making a difference is about someone with a title. It's not about a title. It's about the things that you do. And I think leaders are some of the greatest, teachers, I should say, are some of the greatest leaders because they leave things a little better than they found them. Now, if you ask the teacher, they would never say they're a leader. But by the extension of leaving things a little bit better, leaving that legacy, making an influence and impact on people's lives, there's more people out there that impact you and made a difference in your life than sometimes you realize. And when you, as you're doing, when you take that moment to sit down and start to recognize them, it really is fulfilling for them when they get the letter, but it's also fulfilling for you because it brings that smile to your face as you're writing that letter to that individual, because you start to think about the memories, you start to think about the impact. It can really bring such great joy to you and them,
Yeah, definitely. It's such a powerful thing to do. Oh, thank you, because you now are on my list as well, Rocky.
Well, wow, I would love to get to, yes. Well, that's so simple. We talk about that in the book a lot, Tighten the Lug Nuts. It's the simple acts of kindness that people do, right? It's that please and thank you. It's a, hey, thanks for all you do on behalf of our company. It's, hey, nice job yesterday. It's those simple things like that. How you're feeling, how's your family, or the simple little, I know that technology is a powerful, wonderful thing, but powerful and wonderful still that note you write somebody, the smile you give somebody. So I think that goes a long way still today, those simple acts of kindness.
That's why your father, I love this, your father told you, go, but never forget, say yes and thank you.
Yes, that's what I say. Yes, that's the first thing. Hey, whatever they ask you to do, yes and thank you. Okay, I got it. One other thing real quick he told me that was funny. He said to me one day, he goes, hey, it's what you do when no one's watching that counts. I'm like, Dad, you just ruined it. Nobody's watching, And he's laughing. He looks at me and goes, no. There's always two people watching, the man upstairs and the person looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
And that was so powerful to me. And I always was able to look in the mirror and say, look, did I do the best job I can? Maybe I didn't fulfill all the goals, or maybe I didn't, it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but did I give it my all? Did I work as hard as I could? Did I do it with integrity? Was I trying to be the best person I could be? Look, we make mistakes. We're human beings. That's okay. But do we give it our all? And so it always stuck with me, It's like, it's like, Dad, you're killing me. If no one's watching, I thought that was the good part. No, two people. The man upstairs, he's saying, and the guy looking in the mirror. So, you got to make sure you answer to those two people. So, so in his own way, he was he left me such powerful things that were such great influences in my life.
That's so good. Thank you so much for sharing with me.
So now your client base, what's your client base? You said you do training and
women. We work
with
women.
Great.
We, that's why we call Women Flix. We do work with men as well, but is mostly we are a community that empowers and creates opportunities for women in collaboration, in partnership, and then through workshops, coaching, and marketing strategies for social media. That's us, Women Flix.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, and I think that, that help and those, role models that are out there, it's funny as a dad with two daughters, it's always funny how I'm always like talking to my daughters, like, hey, make sure that, you don't get passed over here. Make sure you're having those conversations, make sure make sure in a career development, it's, you're laying out the things. And I think that whole process is so important for everyone. But I think in particular, it's important because I think sometimes we just assume that people know what we want or have a vision of what we want to try to accomplish from a career perspective. And I think this whole succession planning process and the process, and I think that, when people go on interviews today and they're coming out of school or they're changing jobs and they're asking some of the traditional questions, about the business or about their responsibilities. But I think there's some questions like, what is your succession planning process here in the organization? Because if a company does not have a articulated succession planning process, well, then do I get lost in the shuffle?
Yes.
Am I going to be evaluated for my results? And if there's a succession planning process and there's an articulated evaluation process, well, then, okay, then I can stand on my merits. But if there's no process at all inside this organization, then how do you get to that point of understanding, do I have a career? Do I have a future? So I think that, I often, when I talk to students and, that are juniors and seniors in college or juniors and seniors in high school and talking about career development, I always make sure we talk about this whole concept of, yes, you're being interviewed for a job, but you're also interviewing them as well.
Yes, it's like one of the workshops that we run, example, is the women and their relationship with money. And I was running a free webinar last week, giving this workshop with women which are already in business. And one of the things they said to me was, because we come from a generation, we've been raised like go to school, study and make money, but they don't actually know exactly how to run that money, how to deal with that money. And with Women Flix, our aim is to reach young entrepreneurs, young people that is willing to get into the job profession, like to finish school and get the job, but they don't just go to this situation like you mentioned, because if it's not that planning there, they don't have idea why they're going to carry on, if they're going to be successful. So bringing this kind of workshops about your self-esteem, about your relationship with money, just increase their awareness of what they want and how they can deal with things. And we find very powerful and very helpful especially for young people.
Well, I think that's a great point. And I often get asked the question, I was at UPS for 36 years and people, it's unusual in today's world to have that kind of longevity with a company. But one of the things I talk about all the time is the fact that, I didn't agree with everything that happened at UPS. Yes. But I didn't disagree enough to leave. And what I mean by that is I always felt like my values and my ethics, my culture, the way I was brought up as a child fit inside UPS. They valued hard work, enthusiasm, was a company with high integrity. So I felt like I fit. And so on those days when I wasn't sure, or those days when I might have had a bad day, or maybe I didn't have the greatest boss, I knew overall I fit in an organization. And I tell people that all the time. When you're deciding to leave a job and go to another company, there's things that you need to be comfortable with, because what keeps you through the difficult days is, do I fit in here? Like UPS never asked me to violate a law, break a policy, do anything unethical. So I always felt like I fit in there. And so as people were starting to, think about the companies they want to work for, or the type of company they want to start, for example, as an entrepreneur, you really have to start with the values and ethics. You got to really start with the three key questions. Who am I? What do I stand for? And what are the things I won't compromise as an owner of a business or as a leader inside an organization? And then if if who you are as a person matches with those kinds of values and ethics inside a company, that's probably a really good fit for you, and it helps you through those difficulties, and you never feel like you're being compromised. And then I think you get to that next step of, okay, what is your succession planning process? What is your evaluation process? How are you recognized inside these organizations? And you can ask those questions without being confrontational or without being challenging, but you would want to know that, right? So do I fit in here? My values, ethics fit in here. Okay, that's good. But now what's the process for me to make sure that I don't get lost in this whole promotion process? How do I get identified? How do I make sure that I have a seat at the table when they're having those conversations about that next leader? And I think that's what's important.
Yes, totally. So, Rocky, our time is running. I would love to stay here longer with you, but the time
thank you.
is going. So, one last question. How can people connect with you?
Well, thank you very much for So my website is www. It's the number 3 and the word 60, SIXTY, managementservices.com. And then the book is called Tighten the Lug Nuts. There's actually a website for that, tightenthelugnuts.com. As I said, the book is sold on Barnes & Noble, but the best way to get it is on Amazon. They fulfill very quickly. They're internationally. It's very good. And then you can reach me you can interact with me on the website. I answer all the contact me questions, and I get a lot of emails back and forth from people from the website. Or you can email me at Rocky, ROCKY, Romanella, ROMANELLA @gmail.com, and I will respond. And if any of your guests have questions, or they feel free to to email you, and you can email me or me directly. And if there's a particular topic that you think is of interest to your audience, you and I can have a conversation about that. Maybe get some questions from your audience, and maybe we can do a question and answer if you'd like.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you. So, and you also got Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Yes. I finally understand it. My kids laugh at me all the time. Like, Dad, you got to understand what's going on here. Actually, my grandkids are the best at it now. We have,
no
5. Oh, they crack you. I tell people all the time, I had some great titles in my career, none better than Grandpa.
All the information will be on the description, all your social media, your email, everything. So my listeners can get straight in touch with you. And also, I'm sure we're going to work in the future together.
I would be honored.
Again.
I would be honored. Yes, I would be honored. If at one of your workshops, I can dial in, I could do a topic for you. That would be my honor.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for this moment. I wish you all the best, continuously growing and improving, and encourage other people around the world. And God bless you.
You as well. It's a pleasure meeting you, and I look forward to our continued relationship. Thank you very much. Be safe.
You too. Thank you. Take care. This is the end of our session today. I really hope that you enjoy this session with my guest. I love it. Feel free to find more information about my guest and get connected with. He will be on the description of this episode. You will also find a freebie. There is always a freebie from my guest to you. Follow us on social media. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, where you will be connected with Women Flix, empowering women around the world. Get to know more about us. My name is Yola Bastos, and I'm so grateful that you've been here with me and my guest on this week. I really hope I can see you next week for a new story, a new journey, a new inspiration. Take care. Bye-bye.